you have to take axioms. You can't reason forward deductively without axioms, and all proofs are relative to some system of previously accepted propositions. But I was denying him the ability to have that one axiom, there is one God.
Why?
Well, great question. For me, it was like, you can't take that as an axiom, and I didn't have a good reason why not. You see, because this was, in my head, it was all about, can you prove whether or not God exists from outside of that framework without any assumptions related to it? And that was because my epistemology was previously based in what you understand around you and building up from there. But then, speaking to him, I realized, yeah, that's a double standard, because I can't study anything around me without taking axioms, so why the double standard? So that was one of the big major parts. Another major part of it was understanding what deity really means, because I was raised in the sort of post-Enlightenment world where they'd basically redefined most terms in philosophy, including what theism was and what deity was. And if you take like the original actual definitions of deity, be it ancient Greek, be it ancient Greek, ancient Indian, be it Japanese, whatever, deity is not the same thing as it's kind of taken to mean in Enlightenment. So if you take Adam Smith's invisible hand of the market, you know Adam Smith, famous economist, and he says the market's supposed to be self-balancing and it corrects itself, and his famous expression, the invisible hand of the market, it's kind of like how it's conceptualized. Like, if you resurrect an ancient Greek, it'd be like, yeah, that's polytheism. If you resurrect an ancient Greek and point them at the standard model of particle physics, he'll be like, is this a model but not reality, or are you saying this is ontologically real? Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Good afternoon, sir.
So they'll be saying, okay, these things in a standard model, are they just fictional things that are used to describe stuff, or are they actually real and agentive? Are they the things that cause things? Are they you know what I mean? And if it's the latter, then that's a polytheist pantheon by all the standards except the Enlightenment standards. So then I was like, crap, first of all, my epistemology fell apart, really. Or rather, I exposed hypocrisy and double standards. And then even my atheism became, actually, no, it's polytheism in denial. And then I had to start taking it really seriously. And then when I started looking at the belief system and like understanding it more deeply, I took very much kind of like first of all, almost like running it like a virtual machine in my head. You know, like, okay, if I were to take this axiom, if I were to explore it from a position of belief, how would that work out? How does the observables of the universe...
Sorry, can you suppose, if you don't mind, how do you ground those axioms?
Well, this is the thing. Axioms essentially are the grounding, right? That's kind of
presupposition to axioms.
No, so you know this thing where we agreed every proof is relative to prior beliefs. So you prove that P is true, some proposition P is true, because you've accepted it follows from a bunch of prior propositions. That's how all proofs say, well, because of these things are true, you follow this logic, then this is true, right? And so you can then repeat and say, okay, why are these true? And go back and back and back. The ones you go back to at the very beginning are called your axioms. That's the difference between an axiom and other propositions.
Solipsism.
So one example of an axiom that you might have but have not necessarily questioned is your own existence, right? Technically, saying I exist is an axiom rather than an observational reality.
How do you ground that? I exist?
Well, this is the thing. At some point, you have to take it. You essentially have to take it as exactly. That's what axiom basically means. And what you're always looking for is, what is my minimal, most fruitful set of axiomatic propositions?
It's like it's Saturday and I've come down the wrong day or something.
No, it's definitely similar.
So, for example, my existence one, I can. There's a difference between proof and justification. So I can justify taking an axiom, right? Because I can say, okay, if I do not exist, then everything I'm saying subsequent to that is actually in contradiction to me saying it, because I don't exist, so I can't say it. And so if I take that, if I don't take the I exist axiom, then everything I say is in contradiction anyway, and therefore I'm out of the bounds of reason anyway,
I'm trying to figure out the word. Saying that I don't exist. It's not.
You can't even, because the I is already self-referenced, so I don't exist is already a contradiction. It's like the liar's paradox, you know, or like, have you read like a piece of paper that says this statement is false? Well, if it's false, it's true. If it's true, it's false. So
that works.
No, because it's self-contradictory, right? Because if this statement is false, if it's true, then it's false because it says it's false.
Circular, no?
Yeah, exactly. It's these. You see what I mean? So
yeah, but isn't the axiom circular? That's what I'm saying. Because you're agreeing upon something without.
Yes, this is interesting. It's interesting. So, in reality, whether it be physics, maths, anything, you can't avoid some kind of circularity, because the axioms, what happens is, to break the circularity, you take these axioms and you say, okay, from these, I'm now not reasoning circularly, right? I'm reasoning from a foundation. This comes back to grounding. But those axioms themselves were arrived at by another set of things. And so there really is, at some point, you have to cut the circle. But really, underneath, there always is one.
Murky waters, no?
It is. It's very murky. But it's also very successful. This is how we develop mathematics, this is how we develop physics, this is chemistry and all that. So, yes.
Relatively.
It works, and then it's interesting to investigate why or how it works, and then come back to this idea of, okay, because remember all of this was sort of thinking, what do I believe, why do I believe it, how can I disentangle or disassociate what I was effectively indoctrinated with, be it by my father or by the schooling system, from what's really true. How do I go about that? Long story short, first of all, I came to the conclusion that Islam was better than any other system I knew, but that wasn't sufficient. And then at some point, I came to the realization that actually it's the best system there could be, even in principle. If you look at like the hierarchy of unification of ideas, the single axiom shahada, it's the most grand unified theory. Everything else can sit somewhere else underneath it. Because I found, like, experimentally, if you like, once I had taken the axiom on, once I accepted it and really believed it and lived my life this way, I had this almost instant flip where, like, suddenly I could see things from a top-down perspective, and the top of that top-down perspective was higher than it had ever been before. And now I could see how things were related in a way that I couldn't before.
State of mind.
It affected my state of mind, yeah. Improved it.
Proof.
No, improved it. Improved it, yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, in a sense, it's proof if you take the definition of empirical evidence. So if you take it as saying the experiment is to adopt the theory and see, does it have the outcomes it was predicted to have for me in my life? Yes, it did. And did I have the sorry?
Nuances. Does it have predictive power?
Well, so there's a theory for, well, like, if you take it as a theory and you say, okay, what does it predict will become of someone will change. People will change when they take Shahada, when they become Muslim seriously. What are the predicted kind of changes? What kind of feelings are there, and so on? And indeed, they were true for me. So that's why I'm saying, in a sense, in this sense of empiricism,
How are you? You good?
it matched up. It wasn't inconsistent.
Isn't that all systems?
Well, sometimes you take a theory and then you test it out and the data doesn't match the hypothesis. So in this case, all I'm saying is the data matches the hypothesis. And there's interesting things as well, like in Islam we have the idea that there is a qareen, right? This jinn that's attached to you, and that you have a nafs, you have a qalb, all these sort of components of being a human. And I became aware of them, like able to see them in an internal sense where I couldn't see them before. So it was also a functional theory, like it had functional value that worked with analysing and understanding my internal feelings.
How do you objectify that?
Well, what do you mean by objective?
Because your subjective self said, I feel this thing.
Yep.
How can you show this? How can you demonstrate that to me?
Well, so this is an interesting question. It comes back to, remember what we said about physics and you have to take some axioms at some point.
Yeah.
That is essentially intersubjective. intersubjective, right? Because there's everyone who is involved in that world of physics experimental stuff. They're human beings, and they, at least as far as we know, but anyone who they need to be able to run that system of ideas in their head. They need to be able to see what's going on. They need to be able to consume the data. They need to have some space and time location relative to the experiment, and so on and so forth. So it is a subjective group. It's just a very large subjective group. There's lots of people who don't believe the Earth is round, right? Lots of flat earthers, and so is there
many systems, many religions ascribe to this thing.
Which thing?
The self.
Yes, yeah, the existence of the self. Yeah.
Are they all correct?
Well, again, I believe the self exists, but remember, I used to believe the self exists on the basis of it being an independent axiom for the justification reasons I gave. But once I've taken the Shahada axiom, then that comes for free as a consequence, so I don't need to take it as an extra axiom. So I have a much more efficient system of axioms now.
I'm going to leave it there.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because it's murky.
Murky?
Yeah.
Is there any way I can clarify it before you go? Can you explain a bit about your epistemology and what you believe before you go? Because it's been mostly me telling you. Like, I don't really understand what you believe or how you believe it. Or if truth's accessible.
Feeling.
Just a feeling.
Yeah, just my emotions.
Okay.
And I can't get to the bottom. It's just how I feel, my state of mind.
Very interesting. There's a good question as to whether or not you should expect to ever get to the bottom.
I don't think so. I am just don't know. I'm ignorant. I'm going to wait until I die.
Careful, because that might be too late.
I don't think so. I have a feeling. I don't think so. I know myself. And I base my world view on myself.
So you are happy with perfectly subjective or purely subjective? Is that?
I'm not happy. I'm not overjoyed.
Okay, yeah, wrong word.
But I can't decipher. I can't shift through. It's just me, the ego.
You may be one of the most interesting philosophical thinkers I've spoken to at Speaker's Corner. You know that.
That's where we leave it. I'm like, hi, brother.
All right,
it's
why
good
not?
to talk to you, man.
Yeah, I'll see you again.
Thank you.
God willing. Well, there you go. Nothing to say, really. It's wrapped up. There we go. There we go. I didn't realise there were so many things stuck to me. There we go. That was interesting, very unexpected.
Yeah, this one. Many times brother talks.
Yeah.
I think, he's one of the son or daughter Muslims.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I want to have a think about his position and then come back to questions.
Funny looking. How many minutes? 3.